Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk Grief. I am your host, Lakecia Lockridge, and this is the City of Hearts, where we deep dive into real conversations, we explore raw emotions, and we have honest discussions. So brace yourselves because it get real when we discuss the journeys of love, loss, coping, and resilience. How are you all out there in social media land today? I'm so happy to be here with you. I have a special guest with me tonight. I call her Auntie, but y'all know about Miss Danny Dubois Matthews. I have her in the studio with me, and I'm so excited to talk to her tonight. But before we dive in with Miss Danny, I just have to let y'all know a little about her because she got a lot going on. So Miss Danny hails from Harlem, New York. She was plagued with a series of deeply traumatic childhood experiences. Then, a few decades long, about with drug addiction and all the degradation and dereliction that came along with that life. Armed with a will to survive in the first love of writing to escape, she channeled her challenges into raw and candid memoir titled Pretty Little Bastards, a memoir of the darkness that turned on God's light. So please help me welcome Miss Danny Dubois to the stage. How are
Hey,
you
hey,
tonight, Miss
hey, hey. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're at in the world, under the sound of my voice. Good day. How you doing? How's everybody? I hope everybody's good. Hello there,
Yeah.
Miss Keisha. How
Hello,
are you?
hello. So I know you see me get tongue tied on that bio
I
because you got a
did,
lot
I
going on.
did. It's
Well,
okay. It's degradation and dereliction.
uh-huh. But guess what?
Okay.
It's called No Glasses On. That's what it's
Ah,
called.
come on now. What where your glasses at, girl? Come on, girl. Put the glass on.
Oh, they are somewhere where I'm not going to look for them at,
It
okay?
is all right. It's all right. Just don't
Yes.
try to
So Miss
read no more.
look, I know, right? So Miss Danny, you know what? The good part about it is I don't have to anymore because we gonna have a good conversation tonight, and I'm so excited
How?
about it.
That
So
part.
look, I don't no longer have to look at this screen over here, so we good to go, okay?
I
So
love
Miss
it.
Danny, oh wow, I read your book. I read your book. Um, Pretty Little Bastard Child left me from beginning to the end with my mouth wide open. You have endured so much. And to see the woman that is sitting in front of me,
To
all I
God
can
be the
say is
glory. That's
to
all I'm gonna
God be the
say.
glory.
To God be the
Yes,
glory.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
So definitely tonight I want to talk about the book with you, but I don't want to give them, I guess, too much because I want them to purchase the book. But I do
Me
want to
too.
talk
Me
about the
too.
general topics of the
Right.
book that
Hmm. Hmm.
displayed. Um, I got the inside details, but they got to purchase the book to get the inside details, okay?
Yes,
But
ma'am.
before we move any further, I would like to display a video that we have, your personal video, and just give them a little snippet of what you got going on, okay?
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So give us a moment, and I'm going to start your video.
Hey, this is your girl Danny. Yes, Chef Danny, recording artist Danny, Deacon Danny. But now I'm an author. I've always been an author, but now I'm serious about it. I'd like to introduce you to my memoir, Pretty Little Bastard Child. It's a memoir. of the darkness that turned on God's light. Now, I'm going to give you a trigger warning. If in fact you haven't dealt with your healing, then this ain't the book for you. But I want to get you to the place where you can deal with some healing, because your trauma is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. Atlanta, I'm talking to you directly. I'm coming to you. June 21st, I'm going to be there with hugs, with smiles, and with your girl, Danny, and these books. Listen, if you want an autographed copy before then hit me up on any of my socials. I'm on Instagram at authordanny.d3. I'm on Danielle Dubois Matthews Facebook, and I'm right here whenever you need me. So check this out. I'm going to see you in June, 1650 Marietta Boulevard. Okay. If you're a vendor, it's going to be a whole day full of good stuff. You're going to have a vendor's bazaar. We're going to have an after party, and we're going to have me reading some excerpts from the book. So check this out. I want to see you there. Peace.
Miss Danny, Miss Danny, Miss Danny.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to this book tour because I know you gonna do it with a bang. I know that. Um, so Pretty Little Bastard Child, a memoir of the darkness that turned on God's light.
Mm-hmm.
How did you come up with that title?
Well, back in the day, back in my time, or, it still is, but you don't hear it said too much anymore. But back in the day, if a woman had a child out of wedlock or never got married, that child was what? A bastard child, right?
Mhm.
So my mother wasn't married to my dad, and she got pregnant with me, and I was always made to know. It was never maybe a day or two in a month that I wasn't called a bastard, that I wasn't, ridiculed or something, verbally abused by her somehow. And because I was a bastard child, and the cover of the book is actually a picture of me as a kid. I was a pretty little girl. So, I was teeter-tottering. I was fighting with myself. Okay, am I going to make it that? Am I going to put some numbers? What am I going to do? Just make it that, no, I'm an independent author. It's got to be catchy. And then I came up with, you know what? I got it. The heck with it. Pretty Little Bastard Child. And that would definitely get some heads to turn it like, what? What is that the name of your book? Yeah. So
Yes,
that's how it
but it's
became.
authentic. Um, and because it's a part of your story, it
Yes.
was the perfect title.
Yeah.
But it does turn heads. Good
Hmm.
evening, Regina. Good evening, Angela. Thank you all for joining us today. It definitely turned my head for sure. Uh, it did. And so I know that this is one of a trilogy,
Hmm.
correct?
Yep. Volume 1. Yes.
And that's awesome. So Miss Danny, tonight I want you to share with the audience what inspired you to write about your journey and overcoming your trauma. And we know that this is a trilogy, and I got my assumptions and all that because I'm ready for part two. Like, you got to
Hmm.
give me more. But what inspired you to tell your story?
Um, it was time. And I'm gonna say that, that's the whole ball in a nutshell, in this stage and where we're at in this day and age in the world right now, hate of all forms has reared its ugly little head, and it's coming stronger and harder and more prevalent than it had been for a long time. I'm not going to get into the political aspect of that because that's none of my business. Only thing I am going to say is anybody under the sound of my voice, even if you're listening to the replay, please vote. Please vote. Please vote. Don't say my vote doesn't count. It doesn't matter to me, because it does. But with that being said, um, when the Me Too movement started, shining a light on these big, powerful people, I was like, well, the people who uh, that put me through my trauma weren't big and powerful, but as a little kid, they are big and powerful to you. You kind
Oh
of look
yeah.
up to these people. So, with the Me Too movement and the Silence R. Kelly stuff going on and blah 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 blah. Every time I heard about somebody putting their story together, another one being arrested, and did they do it? Did they not do it? It's like what, Danny, you're not getting any younger and life ain't getting no easier. You got to get this thing on paper because there are people that that you deal with every day that are hurting and they can't
Mhm.
speak truth to power. So maybe if you
Absolutely.
speak your truth, if you write your truth, if you go all over the country and you're sharing your truth and you're sharing it not watered down, but real and raw, maybe you'll be able to help make this place a better place than you found it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Sharing our stories. And I will say what we go through,
Hmm.
um, you can stay in a victim mindset and say,
Hmm.
"Oh, why did this happen to me?" But I've chose to say, "Why wouldn't it happen to me?" You
Why
know,
not you? Why
our
not you?
testimonies are not for us,
Yeah,
but they are to help someone else. So
absolutely.
I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. Before we
Hmm.
go any further, though, I would just like for you, if you don't mind, to read an excerpt from your book.
Okay.
I want to give them some, but when I say it's so much good stuff in that book, I just urge them to go and purchase a copy of
Yes,
Pretty Little
yes.
Bastard Child because when I tell you that um my funds were well spent, it was well spent. Yes, indeed. It was well spent.
Well,
So if
thank
you
you,
don't mind,
Queen.
just
Thank you so
I'm
much.
gonna
Thank you.
you're welcome. I'm gonna look, step out of the way and you
Hmm.
you give us a excerpt,
Hmm.
have the floor.
Okay, okay. All right. So we are early into August now, and all hell is breaking loose in our house. My mom was on the outs again with my stepfather, which made her go on the warpath with us. That was her norm, though. When her man was acting right, whatever right was, her mood in life was full of color. But when the ship was going for sail against the wind, oh boy. What I couldn't understand for the life of me, though, was why she couldn't just disembark. I mean, now that I'm older and I've had my own share of heartbreaks and failed ships, I get it. Breaking up ain't easy. But breakup to makeup is so much more intense and painful. Anywho, she was miserable, crying all the time, mean, beating the crap out of my brother and I, which seemed like for no reason at all. I could finally feel, though, very confident in saying that maybe this time the time was near and this was going to be a wrap. But anyway, the good news for him was not being there, and I liked it. But the parties that we would have as the good little latchkey kids that we were getting bigger. With my brother being a DJ now and making a name for himself. The summer, this summer, he had started playing music in the park. So his friends were getting wilder, or should I say, more mature. Boy, oh boy, was the party going to begin. I'm just going to move on to one other chapter. I mean, this is funny. I got to get to this. Once my mom left for work, my big brother's popularity was growing, more daring, and I was going out to explore my surroundings when she would leave for work. The village, meaning the nosy neighbors, was getting more concerned with the whole kids in the house unsupervised situation. So the cat was about to be let out the bag. This particular night, I had stayed in the house, and our lookouts were supposed to take turns on mom watch. Somehow, both of them ended up in the house this particular night. Now, this was a no no. The next thing we knew, my mom had doubled back around and she was banging on the door. Open it now. Open it now. It was hilarious. People started screaming, scattering, and running like roaches when the lights came on. Our lookouts went out the window, down the fire escape, and the others out the back window onto the community center roof. My best friend from downstairs jumped into bed with me. That was the best thing to do because I sure enough played sleep.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So I'm glad that you actually decided to read about your mom because I did have some questions about your relationship with your mom. I know that it was a strained relationship,
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
say the least, with you and your mom.
Yeah.
Um, so in your book, you discuss experience abuse from your mom.
Hmm.
How
Yeah.
did you navigate the emotional toll of that experience, and what steps did you take towards your healing with her?
You see, the one thing that I've learned, a kid is going to love their mom. A kid is going to love, and a mom is going to love their child, allegedly, right? The relationship that I had with my mother was as strained as it was because I looked and acted just like my dad, and she and my dad had a very strained relationship. And I'm not going to give away too much because it's in the book, but my mother was, I was out of wedlock, and every time my mother looked at me, she experienced the hatred. She experienced that bad feeling that she had towards my dad. So I was kind of doomed from birth. I was doomed to begin with, and of course he wasn't there. So I took all the brunt of her anger. Um, and at a certain point, I just stopped trying. Everything I always try. I really, really tried as a young kid, to do the best that I could and to make her happy. And it seemed like everything I did was in vain. So at certain points of my life, I said, you know what? The heck with this. I'm not even going to try. I'll show you. I'll hurt me. And that's, how a lot of that went until way further down. God rest her soul. So
Yes. Oh, Miss Danny, Miss Danny, Miss Danny. You touched on so much in your book. Coming up with questions for you was a challenge because I had a million questions, but I
but
didn't
we
want
only
to
got an
give
hour
away.
show.
Exactly. We only have an hour show, and I didn't want to give away too much of the book.
I got
Um,
you.
I really want them to go and purchase this book because for me, this book was so raw, real, and authentic. You were transparent not only in your traumas, but you were transparent in your wrongdoings as well,
Yes. Yes.
and it was just literally, I stepped outside of my world and I stepped into your world. Like, I could see you on the streets of Harlem playing
Mhm.
as that little girl. I could see the experiences you experienced down in Maryland. Like, I could see it all. So I will say with my next question, and if you are triggered, it's okay. If you need to step away, it's okay because we will dive into some topics that are triggering. So it's okay to step away. As Jasmine said, yes, transparency is so important in your healing. You are absolutely correct. It is.
Absolutely.
It
Absolutely.
is. So for my next question with you, you also mentioned recognizing your sexual orientation at an early age.
Mhm.
Can you
Yeah.
speak on the challenges you faced in coming to terms with your identity and missed your struggles, especially in the era that you grew up in, because it
Mhm.
was frowned upon.
Yes.
Um, it's more of a acceptance now for the
Mhm. Mhm.
LGBTIA. It's some more
Mhm.
letters added
Yeah,
now, right?
look, don't
Okay.
ask me about the new letters, please. I mean,
Yes.
forgive me. I sorry, LGBTQIA plus elemental P. I'm sorry. I came from the era of LGBT. Period. But to
Right.
answer that question, I knew from very early on, before any of the other trauma happened to me in my life, that I wasn't attracted to little boys. And of course,
Mhm.
that kind of added to the confusion because of what was going on in my house, what I saw going in and out of my house, the promiscuity that I saw with my mom. I always knew I was different. Um, I just didn't know what it was. You know what I'm saying? I know what society said. I knew what my mom. I don't remember not being attracted to same gender loving.
But you were so smart and intelligent at your age,
Mhm.
and you were so vigilant and
Yes.
aware. You knew to you knew that what was happening to you was
Mhm.
not the reason that you were feeling the feelings that you felt for your, can I give it away, your kindergarten teacher?
Right. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
You were very self-aware to know, like, hey, even though I'm enduring
Right.
this is not why I feel this way. This is something
Absolutely.
different. And
Yep.
that spoke volumes to me to say, this
Right.
little girl knew, like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm enduring
Mhm.
this, I'm going through this, but this ain't got nothing to do with this. So
It was
it was
totally
just,
indicative of the other. It really was,
yes.
and I think what in going through an identity crisis so early on in my life, I think though it was painful, though it was confusing, though it caused its own set of traumatic issues because of all of the rest of the societal stuff that was on my plate at
Mhm.
such a at such a young age. What it also did was gave me the courage to just be me. I can't be nobody else but me, and it, it, it gave me the ability a long time ago to say, I'm not concerned about what you think about me. I'm concerned about what I think about me. Um,
Mm.
and all I could be is me. I can't, and it's more volumes to the book and some more to the story, but you know, um, yeah, very early on, I knew what I liked. I knew what I was attracted to, and I kind of, sort of, just needed to be able to fit somehow. And it took me a long time, but finally I was okay with me and my own skin, and I could care less about you and your skin. That's between you and God. Me and my skin, that's between me and God, and that's all that was.
Amen. Amen to that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that brings me to my next question, because you are,
Mhm.
in fact, a deacon.
Mhm. Yep.
And how did you integrate your faith into your journey of
Mhm.
healing?
Well, first of all, what I had to learn is that God loves us all. God is love, and God placed these feelings and this love inside of me.
Mhm.
I beg to differ with a world that says because I don't see the same color green that you see when you see your color green, that it makes me any less than you. Who are you? There's only one
Absolutely.
spirit that could sit high and look low. And that's a personal relationship between me and that spirit. Um, I've been convicted of things, and I've been challenged with other issues. I've had some serious conversations with see, what people don't realize about people who are different or people who are same gender loving is half of us can quote the Bible just like you. Half of
Mhm.
us, half of us, first of all, we know pain much better than even though everybody's trauma is their own, it's their own personal trauma. My trauma is my trauma, right? My feelings of me are my feelings of me. And but it took me a long time to learn that God loves me just the way I am. And if God chooses to change that part of me, that conversation will be between, or that feeling will be between me and God too. So unless you can throw the first stone in your glass house, baby, don't start messing with my house. This ain't
I
what
know
you
that's
want.
right.
This ain't what you want. I
And
am one
that's
of the
the
most
difference
loving.
between a relationship and religion.
That's it. That's it. I
Mhm.
mean, my I don't necessarily call myself a religious person. Like I said, even though I could quote the Bible, and the same Bible that they kept us enslaved with and still do, the same Bible that people are kicking their kids out in the street because they don't understand who they are, and they are not trying to open up a dialogue with that kid to understand what that kid is going through. It's hard enough. Rites of passage is a hard enough time in life, going from adolescent to tweens and then teens. And in this day and age, oh my God, you couldn't pay me to go back to being a kid. But add some confusion and not, trying to navigate your way through human sexuality, period. And then having feelings that are different and weird to you, but this is how I feel. It's rough. It's rough. But the one thing I can
Absolutely.
say is, again, nobody, and I repeat, nobody, I don't care how big of a ordained doctor, so and so, bishop, that apostle, who, listen, you are human just like me. And if I
Mhm.
cut you, you're going to bleed red. If you cut me, I'm going to bleed red. You are not God. And you cannot sit high and look down your nose or look low at people because you don't have that capacity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Miss Danny, I'm just I wanna talk I wanna touch briefly on
Come on.
the topic of your stepfather.
Okay. Hmm.
Um, I can't imagine having to endure that consistently
Hmm.
for years.
Yep.
Um, did you think that your mother did not wanna know, or was she just so in caught up in her own challenges of life that she just may have missed it,
Yes.
because we can get so
Hmm.
wrapped up in our own
Hmm.
world
Hmm.
that we can miss things. I've missed
Yes.
things, I'm
Yes.
sure you've missed things, but
Absolutely.
were you ever able to
Confront the
get a under
situation with him.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'm trying to
So
choose my words
I
wisely.
know, I know, I
Yeah.
know. I get it. I get it. But just the fact that we're touching on this and we're
Mhm,
opening up a dialogue, it should be, if a person really loves to read and a person really is interested in knowing a story that could be even similar to theirs, they're going to go get
mhm.
the book anyway. It's it,
Yeah,
and it's a trilogy. So you're not going to get to the actual meat and potatoes just in this first book, even though
I
I
know.
introduced you. Even though I
Yeah.
introduced you to a lot of different things, but to get back on my stepfather and my the other thing is too, I love my mother. I loved my mother in
Oh,
life. I
yeah.
love my mother in death. I miss my mother dearly. I really wish that we would have had time to really heal together, because
Absolutely.
unfortunately, I ended up having to heal a relationship with a person that was no longer there. I had to learn how to forgive a person that was no longer there. I had to learn to live without that person there and navigate through life, becoming an older woman. Um, not having her there to say, "Hey, Ma, what's this perimenopause thing? What's this thing? What's that thing?"
Mhm,
But my stepfather came onto the scene, and my mother was a very young woman when she had my brother and I. She was 18 when she had my brother, 21 when she had me.
mhm.
So in this part of the book, we're talking she hadn't even gotten to her 30s yet. So when we're in our 20s, we young, dumb, and full of boop boop beep, that
Mhm.
word.
Yeah.
But and hot in the butt, you know,
Mm.
um And the only thing we thinking about is getting our groove on, getting our freak on, going out there making bumping our head, making mistakes, growing up. We're not
Yeah.
quite at that place because she still lived with my grandparents for quite a while. She wasn't at that place where, I'm grown, but grown people pay their own bills. They go get their own place. They do what grown people do. So you can't
Yeah.
necessarily, sit in my house and tell me you grown, but you in my house being grown and having kids. So,
Right.
but my stepfather came into her life and she was a young woman and she was smitten. She was in love. She couldn't see the forest for the trees. I know that now,
Mhm.
but as a 10, 9, 8, 7-year old, um, I didn't know that then. And the things that my stepfather brought to the table were bitter and sweet. So it took me a long time to learn. But I don't know where he is. I don't know if he's still alive, but I learned how to forgive. And I learned that forgiveness was not for the other
Absolutely.
person, it was for me.
It's for
So
you. Absolutely. And that just makes me admire you even more, Miss Danny, because you were able to navigate through the trauma, but
mm,
find the healing for you.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's amazing within itself. And I can relate to you, even though my relationship was different with my mom, it was still we had a strained relationship.
Hmm.
Um, but fortunately, I still have my mom here and we were able to mend. So I'm
Right.
very grateful for that because navigating the forgiveness aspect of it was very hard with her
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
So I can only imagine with her not being there for you
yeah,
in that
yeah,
time and still having to navigate yourself through it and go through it and heal from it, that's
yeah.
remarkable. So my hat
No.
is off to you. It really is.
I tell you, boy, God got jokes. And I'm gonna say that to the day I
Yes,
die. You hear me? You wanna make God laugh, you make plans. Because if you'd
absolutely.
have told me years ago that I would be on platforms around the country, not only sharing my story but using my testimony to help heal the people, to help to be a better me and to heal myself, in sharing the good, the bad, and the indifferent.
Mhm.
See, a lot of us want to come up and, we use these platforms to share, oh, the good is like, la, 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 la. No, 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 no. If you ain't been through nothing, you can't help me. You can't teach me
Absolutely.
nothing if you ain't been through nothing, you know.
Absolutely.
So
And that's just what it is. If you ain't
yeah.
been through nothing, you and I tell everybody if they say coaching and counseling, that is two different things. Counselors
Wait.
talk from textbook. Coaches teach from experience. So
Yes. Yes.
if you ain't experienced
Two
nothing, you
different
can't tell
things.
me nothing. So absolutely. I just oh wow. The book was just
So,
amazing.
thank you. Thank you so
Um,
much.
but it also opened my eyes to balance, you know,
Yes. Yes.
um, specifically with when you talked about Auntie C,
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
um, she meant well in your life.
She
She
did.
she she was a light in your life,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know. But we all have
That other side.
that other
That other
side.
side.
We all
Yeah.
have that other side.
Yeah.
And so for
Yeah.
anyone to not acknowledge the whole them. When we talk
Yeah.
about the hold them, that's what we're
Mhm.
talking about.
Mhm.
You have to acknowledge the
Mhm.
good and the
Yes.
bad because it's
Yes.
all a part of you. And if you were to
Mhm.
say, "Oh, I'm all light and I ain't got no darkness," you a
Mhm.
bold-faced lie. And I'll
You are a
tell you that.
liar and the truth ain't in you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we
Yes,
all have the one thing that I've learned in life, that has carried me
absolutely.
a very long, long way is the fact that we all have demons. We all fighting something. We all
Yeah,
have fallen short of the glory of God. And that's why I tell people in a heartbeat, stop looking at my outsides. It's just like when you see a bum laying on the street. Oh, you want to cross the street. You want to talk bad. You want to kick dirt on that bum. Oh God, please don't come ask me for nothing. You might be entertaining Jesus. What's wrong with you?
Just as Monique just said, you don't know my story. That's it.
You
You
know,
don't know my story.
that's it. Like,
Like,
it took me a long time to get here, Lakecia. It took me a long time to get here. And by the time we get to volume 3, baby, when I tell you that volume 1 opened up the can, but Pandora's box is oof, yeah. Only God, only God gets the glory. Because some days I still don't know why I'm still here, and how I got through.
well,
Gotta be God, only God.
volume one was definitely a page turner for me. It
Mm,
even got heavy. I put
hmm
it down and I told my mom, I said, I need a breather real quick because this book's heavy. But
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
no way that I couldn't go back to it. Like it was
right,
just
right.
the authenticity
Hmm
in your book. It
hmm Yeah.
That alone was just amazing because you get these stories, you read them,
hmm hmm
memoirs
hmm
specifically,
Right.
and they're sort of buttered up. That's what I'm
Lackluster.
saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
lackluster.
Because
Yeah.
you could tell you could tell even in the midst of writing, they're still considering others.
Right. Oh
But
no, I
as
was over that. I
Yeah,
was over that.
you were completely over that. You was like,
Over
"This
that.
is heavy. I'm releasing this load, and it is what it is." You were done with protecting anybody. You was just like,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, I lived it. You gonna read it.
Mm-hmm.
The
That's it.
end."
That's it. That's it. The
Yes.
only the only the only thought that I had when I finally stepped out on faith and said I'm gonna do it and I really don't care anymore is that there are so many hundreds and thousands of women, young kids, people out there that are hurting. They're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and they still hurting and don't know how to lay their burdens down. And they
Mm.
sitting in church
Come on now.
preaching to people and they ain't dealt with their own trauma yet. They sitting on the front pew as deacons and deaconess and and ushers and church nurses and they ain't dealt with the hurt because in the name of Lord, if we pray long enough, it'll go away. No,
Mhm.
that's not true. That's
Absolutely.
not true.
And this book spoke volumes for people who are suffering and living
Hmm
with identity crises, you
Yes.
know? Um, it's a lot of people out there who don't wanna come out the closet
Yeah. Yeah.
in fear of the backlash.
Yeah.
But this
That's
book
true.
was literally stand on you, stand
That's it.
in you,
That's it. Walk in your truth.
walk
Walk
in
in
your
your
truth.
truth. That's the only way. Listen, life is too short. Okay. I put up a post. I go live every morning, or at least four or five mornings a week, right?
Mhm,
And you have choices, right? Now you could choose for a joy stealer because they out there and they all around us, right?
mhm.
First of all, they didn't say that the weapon wouldn't form. They said it wouldn't prosper,
Won't
right?
prosper.
But you got joy stealers that are on their job all day, 24/7, 365, okay? That are to steal your joy. That's what they're out there so miserable and they're out there to steal your joy. But you have choices.
Yeah.
If you're a true light and you're truly walking in the light, you can allow this 30 to 45-second interaction with this idiot brain to spoil the whole rest of your day. Or you ponder on it for the rest. I should have said this and I should have told them a piece of mind. And now they done got you locked and loaded and stuck on stupid for 30 to
Mhm.
45-second interaction where you clearly know that what they was trying to do, you had a choice to block, deflect, and move away from it,
And
right?
move along. Yes, yes, absolutely.
How
So
smart
this
is that
book
though?
Some people have they don't have that tough skin.
Mm,
They don't have that skin where they can just brush it off because they're so into pleasing others.
mm.
They're so
I don't
into
think so
living
much
up.
as that, Keisha. What I think is that people people truly want peace, but they haven't gotten a glimpse of what real peace is. Because once you have real peace in your life, you'll be a lot less willing to allow people to steal
Absolutely.
your joy and your peace. It took me too long to get here. Who are you? Are you going to pay my, if it's not going to matter to me in 5 minutes, 5 years, 5 weeks, 5 days, what the heck am I wasting time on this nonsense for?
I'm sure everyone wants peace. I absolutely, well, not everyone. I want
No,
peace.
okay, I was getting ready to say that. Don't say it.
I want peace. But I also been on the other side of the spectrum where my conditioning,
Yeah.
my society standards,
Mm-hmm.
that were placed
Mm-hmm.
on me,
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
felt the obligation to live up to them
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
more so than living in my truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it caused
Mm-hmm.
so much turmoil in my life
Right.
because I was unhappy
Mm-hmm.
and saying I didn't understand why I was unhappy,
Right.
but I was unhappy because I wasn't being truthful to
You.
myself.
Yes. Yes.
So, I can see it on both sides of the spectrum. So, and a lot of people are still living with that to this day.
Hmm. Well,
Thank God I
not
shedded that
even that.
skin.
That so many, like I said earlier, there are people walking around, men and women, who have been molested, who have been abandoned, who have been in
Mhm.
foster care, have been abused emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and they have not gotten the help that they need to live a free
To
and happy
heal.
life. Just because
Mhm.
your life started a certain way doesn't mean that it has to end that same way. Because
Absolutely.
if we really be truthful, the latter will be greater than the former. That's what they said, right? But who has the choice to make that truthful? You.
You do.
You have the power, and it's up
Yes.
to you to do it.
So let's talk about the cliches that's still stuck on getting help because people think we throw the word healing around.
Hmm.
Heal, heal, heal from your
Hmm.
traumas, face your traumas, heal. A
Right.
lot of people don't know where to start with it.
Right. You're
And
right.
going back to society, stigmas and stereotypes,
Hmm. Hmm.
especially in our culture,
Yes. Yes.
they
Well,
don't feel getting help is valuable to them. So, what would you say to those who are stuck?
um, it could only help you. You've been hurting for too long, my beloved. It's been a thorn in your side all of these years. Let it go. It's got to be, and not just let it go. Forgive. Forgive yourself for holding it so long and keeping yourself stuck. Forgive that perpetrator because 9 times out of 10, they are dead in their grave and they still got you stuck. They still are controlling your life. I love the analogy, and I know that if you've seen any of my interviews or heard it before, holding a resentment is like peeing on yourself. The only person that's going to feel it is you.
Is you.
Even though everybody on the outside will see that wet stain in your pants, you the one that's gonna feel soggy and messed up and embarrassed, right? So if we're
Mhm,
holding on to resentment that okay, he molested me, she didn't protect me, well, they did this and they said that, and they never and they okay, well, do you know what the situation was as to why? Do you know that sometimes maybe your mom didn't have everything you needed, so you couldn't get what you wanted for Christmas? She was worried about getting you what you needed.
mm,
Like it's stuff that we hold on, for life. And again, that person is gone on to glory, and you still sitting here bound in your spirit, miserable as hell, pulling people into your miserable pity party, like they really want to be there. I'm not
mhm.
doing any more pity parties. And I'm not being a willing candidate to be a part of yours. You gotta heal
Miss
so you can
Betty,
live. Yes.
Miss Danny, Miss Danny, Miss Danny. That
Yes.
goes into
I'm not playing.
oh, that goes into I read a devotional this morning, actually,
Okay.
and the devotional spoke about um habits.
Okay.
It spoke about the good habits and the not so good habits, the bad habits.
Okay.
Um, but basically, to live a healthy, maintained life, we have to evaluate our habits.
Yep.
So that brings me to a question about self care that I have.
Okay. Mhm.
What are some of the self-care practices that you have been particularly healthy on your journey of healing
Mhm.
and becoming the whole you? What are some of the practices you implemented to and
Mhm.
are still practicing to this
Uh-huh.
day?
Mhm. Okay. Good question. And self-care is first of all, your health is your wealth. And
Mhm.
when see people believe in, oh well, uh, I eat right, I exercise. Okay, excuse me, that might be true. But what are you doing for your emotional, mental, and spiritual health? Because
Mhm.
without that, you could eat as right as you want, you could exercise as much as you want. But if you're not taking time to stop, drop, and roll, if you're not giving yourself free time away from the spouse, the kid, the dog, the job, sometimes you got to take yourself out to eat. Sometimes you got to buy yourself flowers. Sometimes
Mhm.
you just have to unplug from everything. I don't care if you're a social media mogul and all of this stuff. Sometimes, look, my wife and I, when we eat, we do not do phones. And it's a rule. The phone goes away. When we go out to restaurants, even with other friends, we put our phones in a stack in the side of the table. And the first person that picks up their phone got to pay for everybody's dinner.
That's a good way to
Because
keep people out of the phones,
Yeah, well,
huh?
it's not even so much the phone. I want you present. If you was going to hang out on your phone and play TikTok and do all of that stuff that we do, then you could have stayed where you was and I could have stayed where I was. But if I
Yeah,
want to have a peaceful, loving, intimate setting or conversation, phones have to be gone. I'm old school. I remember when the line was busy, your monkey behind just had to wait until I got off the phone. Sometimes I wish we still
I
before
know
we
all about
always
them busy lives.
Baby, listen. But one of the things that I still do every day is pray. I pray every day. I bless my food. I pray for the world. I pray for people I don't know. I pray for guidance. I pray for God to speak to me. If there's something, God, that's in my life that you want to remove, allow me to walk into it. If there's something that I'm supposed to be blessed with, God, I know that you already are willing to give it to me. Allow me to walk into that destiny. Allow me to prepare myself for it. Speak to me. Show me where I need to be and what I need to do to make that happen. Sometimes I sit in my car when I'm on my way to work, or I sit in my car sometimes and I'm just driving with nothing on. And I'm meditating and I'm pondering and I'm praying and quiet time, that me time, that time to push away from everything and everybody is so, so very important to
Absolutely.
your health, to your self-care. Yeah.
I know,
Mhm.
'cause I unplug in a minute.
Yeah.
You know, you be like, "Niece, you up?" "I'm okay."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's essential. It
Mhm.
is essential,
Mhm. Mhm.
especially when, um, you need it in life, period, but when you get to a level of becoming, a influencer or,
Yep.
being in the public eye is even more
Yes.
essential.
Yes.
Um, I took some days
Yeah.
off. I
Yeah.
had to
Mhm.
for my sanity, but I'm stronger
Yeah.
now than I was,
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
um, I just love you, Miss Danny.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love you too, my bonus niece.
Yes, 'cause you don't mind getting
Mhm.
me together when I need it, and,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's just I'm so glad that we're connected now.
Yes.
I don't know what it was that connected us. Well, I know
Hmm.
what it was, but the spark,
Yeah.
from day one, it was like, I
Mhm.
gained another auntie, you know? And everyone can't take you, Miss Danny.
And that's okay.
Everyone, and that's okay,
That is okay.
but that's
Champagne
the beauty.
champagne is not for beer money, baby. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and I'm okay with that. I'd rather know up front that I'm not your cup of tea because again, there's a side too. I'm a
Mhm,
great person. I'm a good person. I'm a lover of life and I'm a lover of God's people. All God's people, even the ones I don't like. God says I
yeah,
have to love you. Okay? So I do. But what I'm not going to do, I've been around the sun, all right? 59 orbits. God let
mhm,
me live till November. It'll be 60 orbits. What I'm not going to do is tolerate disrespect from anybody. And what I'm not going to do is waste my time trying to prove to you how good of a person I am. I'm going to say what I
absolutely.
mean. I'm going to mean what I say. And I'm going to try to the best of my ability to not say it mean. But see, you see this little book right here? I come from trauma, y'all. I ain't got time to be worried about what you say, what you think, how you feel, because I'm not going to come to you with malice. I'm not going to come to you with negativity. But don't come for me unless I call you. Don't do it.
That little girl so pretty on that picture.
That's 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 the pretty little girl. That be me.
That's that pretty little girl right there.
Yeah.
But yes, but that's what I love about you.
Hmm.
Um, you just are who you are. That I think that stuck out more than
Hmm.
anything. I was like, she real, she raw, authentic,
Hmm.
and she ain't finna play with nobody. What you see with her is what you get. And I think
Hmm.
that's why I just
Hmm.
gravitated to you as much as I do, because I wish so many more people could be like that in
Yeah.
this world. I've met some that say
Hmm.
that they are
Hmm.
and don't have a clue what real look like. Take the mask off, you know?
Mm-mm. You can follow me home. You can follow me home. The same person you see on our groups, on our lives, is the
Mhm.
same person you'll see if and when you're ready and you want to come, girl. Look, I'm the same person today, tomorrow, and forevermore. Like I say,
I
it's
know.
so important for me to be okay with me because once I'm okay with me, I can be okay with you. My light is going to
Mhm.
shine whether you choose to see my light or not.
Or
My light
not.
is going to shine. That's
Yes.
that's 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 due to God. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Because I
So
used
we
to look, I could be somewhere robbing your house. I mean, at one time I was. Come on now.
don't get them too much of the book, Miss Danny. I done told you.
That ain't in this book, though. That ain't in this book.
No,
That
but
ain't
I'm
in
sure
this
that's
book,
gonna
though.
be somewhere in part two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, Miss Danny, we are winding down on time,
Hmm.
and
Hmm. Hmm.
I still got a whole list of questions. So when you coming back?
After anthology and the book volume 2 comes out,
Yes,
I will be more than willing to come back and share a little bit more of the story and just being grateful to God for the wisdom because even
yes.
though a lot of it was traumatic, it still taught me lessons. It still gave me some wisdom and I survived it. And see, that's the thing. I survived it because
Oh
my
yeah,
obligatory duty is to go back, reach in and pull somebody out of it.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, you inspired me to do a part two to my memoir.
Okay, cool,
Um, my
cool.
memoir, I touched on my younger years in my
Mhm,
my adolescence and
mhm,
my
mhm.
early 20s. But so much more has transpired, and I didn't know at first if I wanted to write
Right.
a part two to it, but you inspired me to
Mhm,
finish telling the rest of my story, and my story ain't over, so it might be
mhm,
a trilogy, you know?
mhm.
But I got so much more to say. I got so much more to say, and I just
Yeah,
want to let you know that you inspired me to not sit on my story, but to share it with the
yes,
world.
Well,
I
my
wrote
job is
my
done.
oh
My
yes,
job is
I
done.
wrote my first memoir um as a release for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um I needed to tell my story. I needed
Okay.
that release, but I
Yeah.
also know that my story was relatable and it could help someone. But I
Yes.
just didn't dig too deep into who it was helping. I just needed
Mm.
that release.
Right.
So part two, I think I know my path with this one will be a little deeper, more
Mhm.
for impact versus
Right.
release.
Right.
So I'm excited to get started on it. I just want to tell you that you inspired me.
Good. 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 To
And
God be
before
the
we
glory.
yes, 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 God gets all the glory. So we do want to tell y'all something. We are working on a project together.
Woo, woo. Yes, 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 yes. Hey.
Yes, and I'm just so excited.
Me too.
I'm
Me
so
too.
excited just to see the finalized project.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my
Yes, and
God.
it's coming soon. We on countdown because
Yes,
it
we
will
are.
be released June 2024.
God.
And I just know that it's gonna be amazing, and I know it's gonna be bestseller.
Mm-hmm.
So we just put that out there in the atmosphere. But
Absolutely.
Miss Jenny, I definitely gotta have you back on the show,
I'm
later
grateful
on
that
this
you had
this
me, and
year.
I will definitely, you let me know in advance. I definitely will come back. There's some things happening with this trilogy, and you know some of it. I'm not gonna jinx it, but I'm working with some people, and we're gonna put it out on the screen. So
Oh, it definitely deserves to be on the screen.
yes,
It definitely deserves to be on the screen, a movie.
yeah, hmm
Um, Now I don't know if it can go, we're gonna have to put a rating on that
of
movie.
course, of
Yes,
course,
it's definitely
of
gonna have
course.
to be a rating on it, but, absolutely, I think for sure it deserves to be
Oh
on the
yeah.
screen.
Yeah,
It
well,
does.
God has spoken into my spirit, and I can't stop, won't stop until I see it. And it's not, again, to be braggadocious. It's not to big up myself. It's not to say, look at me now. None of that stuff. To
Mhm.
heal. A bigger platform gives me more opportunity to heal more people. And,
Yeah.
heal people, heal people. So,
Oh, yes. Just like broke people break people. Oh, yes.
mhm.
So,
Do we have questions? Do we
Miss
have
Eddie,
questions?
no, so actually they were like just chiming in the midst
Oh,
of the
cool.
conversation and giving comments more so than questions. But that is absolutely cool. I
Mhm.
want to take this time to let you give your flowers to someone. This is something I do every show.
Mhm.
Um, I believe in giving people their flowers while they're still here instead
Mhm.
of us having to only give them when we're putting them in the dirt, you know?
Okay, cool.
So I want you to take a moment and
Mhm.
actually give your flowers to whomever you would like to give your flowers to, but you have the
Mhm.
floor.
Mhm. Well, this is a two-part. With Mother's Day coming up and my mother not being here, can't give them to her necessarily. But there's a lady in that book that kind of saved my life for that time, at that time. And I am going to see her the day after Mother's Day. She's going to have our seventh and final class reunion, sixth grade class reunion. And I will be definitely not only giving her some flowers, but I want to give her flowers now. Joycey, if you're listening out there, um, I love you, and I'm so grateful that God puts you in my life to be that mother figure, to be that power of example as to what positivity and love really look like. And I'm so grateful for your yes to become a teacher. I'm so grateful that you hung in there with all us little teasy head kids. And I'm so grateful for Facebook because we were reunited through then. So I want to give you your flowers and one other person, the person that God put in my life that I love the most, and who, when nobody else is there but handsome man, my wife, I love you, honey, and you know you're gonna get some flowers on the 4th, because every 4th of the month I celebrate her with a rose or with some flowers
Oh,
to commemorate our first 30 days together. I gave her her first rose on our first date, and I haven't missed a rose since. Every 30 days.
oh, that's amazing. Look, y'all give me inspiration to know that my true love is out there somewhere and gonna find me one day. Okay.
But thank you for allowing me to be myself. Thank you for allowing me to come on your platform. I really appreciate you and love you, my niece. You're my niece for life now. You're stuck with
Yes,
me.
definitely. And when I slide back up towards the Delaware area, you
Mhm.
will be the first call. I'm here.
Okay,
I am
that's all
here.
right. And you better, if I found out you was up here, anywhere in the tri-state area, you was up here,
I
and you
ain't
didn't
coming
call me,
without calling.
you better not, never, ever, ever come back this way, because it's on and popping.
I ain't coming without calling because when I say I really enjoyed it so
Mhm.
much,
Thank you.
I still really want to move that way. Like
Mm.
it was just a different experience, and I got to experience Baltimore, New York, Delaware, Philly,
Cool. Cool. It ain't too
DC,
bad. Some parts are really
Virginia.
cool. Some
Yeah, it
parts are really,
is.
really cool.
Some
So,
areas I was like, we got to get out of here before the sun go down. But
girl, I'm sitting in a bedroom. The door is cracked, and you don't hear nothing. Nothing.
wow.
It's so quiet here. Like for me being a city girl, it's so quiet. Like you could
Yes.
really hear like a mouse pee pee on cotton.
And then I didn't know that you were from Harlem until I read the book, but I actually
Yes.
got to experience Harlem.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. That's the
experiencing
place.
Harlem and you growing up in Harlem, I was like,
Yes.
okay, Miss Daddy, a
Yes.
OG.
Yeah. 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 I am. I am. I am truly a OG, and I'm so
Yes,
grateful that God saw fit for me to still be here. Oh
yes.
my God, I'm just, this is what peace looks like, y'all.
Oh, yes.
Seriously, this is what peace looks like, and it took me a
Yes.
very long time to get some. So, get you
Amen.
some joy, get you some peace, and live before
Yes.
you die. Live.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Well, Miss Danny, it's been wonderful this evening.
Thank you, me
And
too.
we're gonna go ahead and get out of here and let the people rest for tonight and prepare themselves for our next talk.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
but just tune in on next week, you guys. I have an amazing lady by the name of Danielle McGee who
Mhm.
will be with me on next week, and she has an amazing story herself. So, yeah, tune in. But until next time, this has been Let's Talk Grief. We love you. Have a good night.
Peace, y'all.